really, really loudly with your earphones or your headphones, or even just like in your room, but it's loud, please stop. Because I did that in my 20s and I want to wring my neck for doing that. I wish I never did. Because now I have a constant ringing in my ear that just won't stop. It's called tinnitus, and its most common cause is damage to your ears. So it's like hearing loss and stuff like that. There are other causes like vertigo or diabetes. It could be symptoms, but I don't have any of those. Well, vertigo sometimes, but the main cause of my tinnitus is that I listen to music so loudly, and I'm so frustrated because the ringing won't stop. And sometimes I can handle it, but lately it's been so loud that I can't even sleep. I need to play some background noise like static or rushing water. And there's no cure. Just came from my ENT and he said there's no cure. We're gonna run some tests to see if I need a hearing aid, which could help. But essentially, really, it's prevention. So if you listen to music really loudly, stop. If you don't want to go nuts, please stop.
I was just showing on the map to my daughter where Greenland is. And I'm saying that Donald Trump wants to buy Greenland, but Greenland belongs to Denmark. And my daughter was like, wait a minute. Greenland is so big and Denmark is so small. How come Denmark owns Greenland? And I said, do you know about colonization? And this is true. Her response, okay, bye.
If God never changes, why does the God of the Old Testament seem so different from the God of the New Testament? The Old Testament God is a lot more vengeful and punishing and disciplining, and the God of the New Testament so much more loving and forgiving. God didn't change. We did. As a human race, if you look at the Old Testament, from Adam and Eve, it looks like toddlers. God created beings that needed him there for everything, for their food, for their sustenance, for walking with him, for teaching him. And then through sin, he started to have to pull further and further away from them. And as they grew further and further away as humanity, he goes from walking and talking with them and feeding them and clothing them to now speaking into their life and having to punish them when they step out of line, much like teenagers. As you go through the entire Old Testament, you get judges and kings and prophets that God has to speak through to reel them back in, because they would step out of line. It says many, many times that a generation or two would go by and then they fell away from God. So we'd have to send in another punishment of some kind where they would be put into captivity, or they would have to have some kind of a punishment or a famine, the same way that we would have to discipline a child with taking away a favorite toy or grounding them or sending them to their room or something of that nature. That's the God of the Old Testament. He had to punish them more to train them up. And then you think of the rules that he gave them. 613 laws he gave them. Things like don't eat certain foods and don't wear certain clothes. And it was very strict with the rules that he gave them. But it makes a lot more sense if you picture them as a toddler. When my daughter was 3 years old, she wasn't allowed to go into the street. We all know why. But to a 3-year-old, she didn't grasp the concept. So I had to come up with a different rule, which was, do you see this line between the street and our driveway? You're not allowed to step past this line. And of course, what does a 3-year-old do but walk right up to the line and stand there and push the envelope, because she didn't understand the concept of cars. Now that she's older, I don't have to have that rule anymore. That rule doesn't apply to someone that's older, because now she understands street safety and looking both ways and watching for cars. Same thing with touching a stove. No adult needs to be told, don't touch a stove. But when we were children, we did need to be told that because we didn't understand fully. That's the God of the Old Testament. The human race, the Israelite nation, were like toddlers and teenagers, having to be punished, having to be corrected over and over and over and over and over again. That's the whole Old Testament. You get to the New Testament, and that is our 18th birthday as a human race. God goes, I've given you all the rules that I can. I have punished you as much as I can. I have tried over and over again to make you like me as much as I can. Now it's your 18th birthday. You're on your own. You're an adult. You're a spiritual adult. Go out into the world, and there's no more of the rules that we had before, and there's no more tradition either. No more having to sacrifice things or atone for things. Now, go out, and all you simply have to do is believe in me. And he sends the perfect man, Jesus Christ, to come and be the example for us to follow. Jesus' entire life was to show us how to have relationship with the Father, how to be a good son or daughter with the Father. And then if we follow his example, 1 Corinthians 11:1, imitate Paul as I imitate Christ. Imitate Christ is the goal. We're supposed to be like him. In being like him, be the perfect son to a perfect father. But God is now not going to step in and punish us and make a bunch of rules for us to follow. No, now he says, you're on your own. I'm going to sit back and pray that you followed the example that I've set and that you still call me once in a while. Think about it as a parent. If I have 2 grown children, they don't call me every single day. I don't see them every single day. I have to sit and wait for them to come to me. I have a father as well that I don't call every single day. He has to sit and wait for me to call him. It's the same way with God, as now he's not going to jump into our lives as much as he did in the Old Testament. He's going to sit back as the parent of an adult child and wait for us to come to him. And he is praying and watching and hoping. His will, his wish, as Peter says, is that none should perish. He doesn't want anybody to fall, but he's also going to leave us to our free will. He wants to watch us grow and draw near to him and follow his example and read his word and stay in communication with him the same way that the father of an adult child would. So I hope that explains the difference. It's not that God has changed, it's that the circumstances have changed. He's not going to punish us the way he did before, but he is going to be loving and forgiving and waiting for us to imitate him and communicate with him. God bless you.
No solid. That makes no sense.
Why doesn't China ban iPhone? Good question. So US banned Huawei phone for national security reason. So China could ban iPhone for the same reason, right? I couldn't speak for China. I'm just speculating, okay? So, but that will be really childish, like you do this, I do that, right? So a little bit more sophisticated thinking will be, okay, you ban Huawei, that's your choice. Would I ban iPhone? That's my choice. So I calculate through which is better. Banning Huawei, banning iPhone, which means less iPhone sell, which means less factory that produce iPhones, so less work for Chinese workers. So I have to take that into consideration and come up a conclusion which is better for China. So whatever decision I make is multi factors, and I don't know how much thinking goes behind it. And I guess that's how sophisticated people making decisions.
So, the video's out. It's been done. Jake Barber has spoken to Ross Coulthard in this special on News Nation. And for obviously most people, that was very underwhelming. The picture, the video at least, I don't think is enough. If that is real, it's still fascinating that we actually saw something that is effectively alien, that is, that close. We've never seen anything that close before. No one's ever seen anything that close publicly on a video. And it's clear, it's very clear as well. You can clearly see, the egg being held in a harness from beneath the helicopter. So, again, there's no references to where they are, or, that could be a crane for all we know. But, it's just, yeah, it's a bit of a, I guess, in a way, a disappointment. But there's some other aspects in here that I think people need to pay attention to. Tough books. Very interesting point. Skywatchers, another interesting point. Psionics. I think, to be honest with you, that for me is more interesting than this, big reveal of this video, which I don't think is going to have any effect on anyone, personally. So I think some people have overhyped this, because that is not good enough. It's not good enough, guys. I'm sorry. We need to call out stuff when we need to. This video was not good enough, but the other stuff that Jake was talking about is fascinating. The fact that he made some sort of connection with this thing when he had 20 miles alone with it, when he was the only guy in the helicopter and it was just dangling beneath, he made some sort of psychic connection. And I know that you guys don't like woo-woo, but I'm sorry, but at this point, this just keeps coming up. The psychic connection and the collective consciousness aspect keeps coming up on this issue, on this topic. And it's something I can no longer ignore, as I know that a lot of you out there will go, no, I'm turning a blind eye, I'm not paying any attention anymore. I'm sorry. It's too prominent in this category, in this subject. It's too prominent now. There are too many documented reports that I've seen that mentions an element of collective consciousness is part of this situation. And from now on, I will be mentioning it more often. That's because it's the objective reality of what's going on here. And you know me, I stick to the facts, but that's what's going on. And that's what keeps getting reported. So for all of you that think I'm going down this woo-woo tunnel, I'm not. It's just, it is what it is, guys. And it's not up to my personal beliefs or my opinion. I'm just reporting on the objective reality of this situation. So, look, you know, this egg, I think, signifies something quite important, and it makes a lot of sense to me. I'm putting the dots together here. I think the reason why they're trying to hide all of this is because the acts are nefarious by us. We are doing bad things, inhumane things with these things that appear to be, en masse, quite innocent. Okay? This isn't, again, the first documented case of these things expressing themselves. You know, he said that when he connected to this thing, he felt this overwhelming sense of love and joy, but sadness at the same time. He said it was the most beautiful thing he has ever experienced. This is a tier one force guy that is goal-oriented, that's highly trained, saying that something was inside him, communicating with him. And I think that's something we really need to start paying attention to. So, yeah. So my thoughts are, based on this video, I'm going to go into more detail on my YouTube channel, by the way, so please, you know, take a look at the link in my bio for that. But I think the reasons, as I said, this whole thing is being hidden is because we are the aggressors. We're the bad guys here. We are doing things, and we are bringing these things down. We're summoning these things, and then we're catching them so that we can reverse engineer them. That's what's going on. And I told you guys that before, but that's what's going on here. And that is why this thing's being kept under wraps, and that's why it's out of the purview of congressional oversight. It's because what they're doing is illegal. And if there was some sort of universal code, we are certainly breaching it. And so what upsets me about this, and, you know, Kaz Clark also attested to this with her encounter, you know, at the Pentrick event. What if we piss off the wrong species? Okay. What if we keep doing this, because that's what's going on. This, again, I've been sitting on this information for a while, but I didn't know if it was the right thing to talk about. The fact that Jake has talked about this, now I can start talking about it. We are summoning these things down, and then we are doing whatever we want to them by trying to work out the tech, because we are technologically inferior. And we're doing what humans have always done in history. It's written in blood. And I'm really, you know, it leaves me feeling quite somber because, you know, we're not trying to engage in any sort of communication by, you know, being non-hostile. We're being hostile. We're the aggressors, not them. And I think that's the cover-up. I think that's why this is being kept so hidden. Anyway, I'm repeating myself here, but it's just I'm almost a bit frustrated and a bit sad about this situation, because these select few people that are making these decisions could be sealing our own fate with a species that we've never even engaged with before. So we could potentially be starting some sort of situation that would be hostile from them because they've seen how we're dealing with them. And believe me, I don't want things showing up that's coming here. If it has the ability to come here from somewhere else, we are at an immediate disadvantage.
All right, let's talk about the egg. And no, not the breakfast kind. The newly released egg UAP video that has the internet divided right now. On one side, you've got skeptics who say it's utter garbage, trash, CGI hoax. On the other side, you have people who are truly fascinated by it and say it could be one of the best UAP videos to date. And here's the kicker. It's not just some random viral clip. This has been vetted. It's actually backed by a nuclear commander and several tier 1 operators. These aren't the type of people who will just back anything. They know their way around secret military tech, and they know their credibility is on the line. But here's the big question. What if it is real? So let's take a second and zoom out, and let's really think about this. If what we're looking at is an actual NHI craft, this is monumental. It's a shift in the paradigm. It's proof that we're not alone, and these visitors, whoever they are and wherever they're from, are so much more highly advanced than we ever realized. So are you team skeptic? It's utter nonsense garbage, or are you team egg? It's real. Let me know what you think. And by the way, it's good to see you again.
Thank you. very tall son named Barron. Has anyone ever heard of him?
Holy shit! Jesus!
We're
Look
looking
at
at
that.
different things.
President Trump, if the cartels are now going to be seen as foreign terror organizations, would you think about ordering U.S. Special Forces into Mexico?
Of course.
To take them out?
Could happen. Stranger things have happened.
Mr. President.
And stranger things have happened.
Sir, can we expect ICE raids starting tomorrow in major cities?
I don't want to say when, but it's going to happen.
This is actually an executive order designating the cartels and other organizations to be foreign terrorist organizations.
Jesus.
That's a big one.
This is an
Sir,
executive.
you just said Mexico doesn't want that. How are you going to deal with this?
I don't know. You'll have to ask them.
Sir, this is an executive order entitled Protecting the American People Against Invasion, which again deals with the southern border and the unprecedented admission of illegal aliens across the southern border.
President Trump, did President Biden leave you a letter?
He may have. Wait. Don't they leave it in the desk? I don't know. Oh.
What's in there?
Thank you, Peter. It could have been years before we found this. Wow. Thank you. Maybe we should all read it together.
Let's read it.
Well, maybe I'll read it first and then make that
Sounds
determination.
great. Happy to help with
47.
President Trump, you and your members of your team now used to warn about the dangers of TikTok spying on Americans.
Yeah.
What changed that you're not worried about that?
They started voting for
Well, it
you.
depends on the deal. I mean, I may not do the deal or I may do the deal. TikTok is worthless if I don't approve it. If I do the deal, it's worth maybe $1 trillion, $1 trillion. So if I do the deal I'm talking about doing it for the United States. If I do the deal for the United States, I think we should get half. So I think like a joint venture, I think we would have a joint venture with the people from TikTok. Does Biden never do news conferences like this? How many news conferences, Peter, has he done like this?
Like
Maybe
this?
None.
0.
And it would be 0 for the next infinity. For infinity, it would be 0.
And you talked a bit about...
Is it anything that he's drawing? Is it anything that people need to be worried
No, I think
about?
it's terrible. I would like to find out what it is and tell the people.
And can you commit to some kind of...
In fact, I'd like to do that. Could we find out what that was, Susie?
Wait, he's just gonna find out
Yeah,
what the
why don't we
drones
find
are
out?
right now?
Immediately. I don't know why they
What the
wouldn't
fuck
have
with these
said what it
drones?
was.
You wanted to block TikTok. Why did you change your mind?
Because I got to use it. And remember, TikTok is largely about kids, young kids. If China's going to get information about young kids, I don't know. I think, to be honest with you, I think we have bigger problems than that. But you know, when you take a look at telephones that are made in China and all the other things that are made in China, military equipment made in China, TikTok, I think TikTok is not their biggest problem. But there's big value in TikTok if it gets approved. If it doesn't get approved, there's no value. So if we create that value, why aren't we entitled to like half?
I want to show you how one of President Trump's first executive actions is already changing things. This is the government website with info on getting a U.S. passport. As recently as Tuesday morning, it said that people applying for or updating a U.S. passport could put their gender as male, female, or X for unspecified or another gender identity. The page specifically mentioned promoting equality of all people, including LGBTQI+ individuals. By the afternoon, this page was gone, just redirecting to the general passport homepage. Trump declared in this order the day before that the federal government only recognizes 2 sexes, male and female, and that agencies should no longer update the gender markers on government IDs accordingly on things like passports and visas. Legal experts have told us that if you have a gender marker X on your passport, you may not want to leave the country right now because you might be detained or have issues re-entering the US.
I don't know if people live in these houses or not, but I swear it literally looks furnished. I'm not even joking, like all of them look like they're furnished. And there's so many of them. Bro, I don't know, because physics and science be moving weird and I feel like people are actually living up there. But I don't. Look, and there's a window open for ventilation. No, I'm convinced that these are actual flats. Look, there's more lights. And that one's flicking now. No, literally, I actually think people live in there. Books. I want to know how the physics behind this. I want to know. I genuinely... Look, it looks like he's going into his house. No, what? No, that's alcohol in there. No way, alcohol? Bruh. No, that is crazy. I'm convinced.
He's ready to bite underwater. Watch this. Watch, there he is. There he is. There he is. He sees my hand. It's just the head. It's about 1.5 foot underwater. But if I were to touch that son again, he would open that mouth and get me. Watch this. Watch this. Here we go. Come on, open up. Oh yeah.
Alright, y'all, listen. I'm at work right now, bro. I'm trying my best to give y'all a little bit of everything so y'all can see and understand that what I'm telling you, bros, can't be any type of lies, right? Let me zoom out. This is the #1 proof, and there is many more proof that we all are living in hell. Check this out, right? Now, we all know this symbol right here, right? I'll do like this. And I'll do this. That's the $sign, right? It's a $sign. Okay? Now, if you look carefully, right, you're gonna see the serpent. This is the serpent on a tree. You see that? That's the serpent wraps around a tree. This is the reason why money is the root of the evil. The devil. Again, that's the serpent, bro. Wraps around a tree. And that's the $sign. We know it as a $sign. But that's a serpent wrapping around the tree. This is why we kill each other over this. This is the symbol of the devils. This is the reason why. Bro, like I said, bro, it is so much proof, fam. If you turn it this way, right? Look, if you do like this, you get the infinity, number 8, right? This is also the hourglass. This is how an hourglass looks. You put the sign up here, and then it comes down here. Because this is time. Bro, everything is in here. Everything we know is in this. Everything. Because this is the power of the serpent. This is the rod that Moses had. This the stick right here. You remember the stick? And you remember it turned into a snake. Everything is in here, fam. So this is telling you that you live in the world of the devil, because that's a sign. This is a sine wave. It's a sine wave. Listen, it's a sine wave. Look. It's a sine wave. You put a line like that, you get a sine wave, because it goes back up again. We even use this in music, bro. In music, they're gonna tell you, bro, I'm not making